Leadership just isn't for the boardroom. It's not just for the office or the team that you manage. The truth is, the most important leadership role any of us will ever hold is within the four walls of our own homes. Yet most parents are never really taught how to lead at home with the same intentionality that we take to our offices, that we take to our careers. And I think that's a big opportunity for us. And that's why today I'm bringing on some amazing guests to the Champion Forum podcast. I recently had the opportunity to sit down at dinner with Chris and Sara Goede when we were in Florida together, and our conversation was around this very topic. And as we began to talk through dinner, it really stopped me in my tracks. They shared their passion for equipping parents, their passion for how parents are called to lead their families well, and how they're helping moms and dads embrace what they call parenting with purpose. This is a model rooted in John Maxwell's 5 levels of leadership. Chris and Sara, they live this message. That resonated with my wife Janelle and I when we were at dinner. They've built their family on these principles of influence. There's some intentionality that goes with this, and certainly growth. And now they're using their experiences and what they've learned over the years to help other parents do the same thing. If you've ever wondered, how do I raise my kids with the same clarity and purpose that you bring to your own career? Well, then this episode's for you. So get ready, because we're about to step into one of the most important leadership conversations we've ever had on this podcast: how to lead with purpose in your own home.
This is the Champion Forum podcast with Jeff Hancher, the forum for leaders, champions, and dreamers.
Take control of your career at Compassionate Care Unlimited in Canonsburg.
Compassionate Care Unlimited is hiring RNs and LPNs. Choose your own schedule for a perfect work-life balance.
Plus, enjoy competitive pay and 24/7 personal support from their woman, nurse, and veteran-owned business.
Enhance your skills with their CPR training classes for individuals and businesses. Learn more at compassionatecarepa.us.
Be uplifted, be supported, be part of the Compassionate Care Unlimited team, and apply today.
Compassionate Care Unlimited is an equal opportunity employer.
Welcome back, everyone, to the show. Let me tell you a little bit about our guest today, Chris and Sara Goede. Chris, many of you know the Maxwell team, and we've all benefited from that. Chris has been with that organization for nearly 3 decades. He's an executive vice president of Maxwell Leadership, where he draws on these decades of experience of starting, growing, and leading companies. He's passionate about helping leaders maximize their strengths and helping others build high-performing teams. But even before joining Maxwell Leadership, he successfully led startups in real estate, manufacturing. He has a very diverse business background and somebody that I have grown to admire quite a bit on my leadership journey. And then Sara, his amazing wife. What a background. She has come from the nursing field. She has spent years of mentoring other people, coaching, serving in her church. And I even found at our dinner that there's a lot of warmth that comes with Sara and a lot of wisdom in everything that she does. She recently launched her own coaching platform and now is helping parents raise strong leaders and women, helping women discover their own passions. Together, this is a powerhouse team. They're navigating this empty nest season with joy and all the different seasons that come with that. But they're continuing their mission to serve others and share what they've learned about faith, marriage, and parenting. But above all these amazing things that they both bring to the table, I think I learned at dinner they're most proud to be the parents of their son, Ryland, and Ryland's wife, Alexa, and their daughter, Addie. So Sara and Chris, welcome to the show. It is an honor to have you both on talking about this very important subject.
Well, we are super excited to be here. The dinner that we got to experience with you and Janelle, talking about your children, talking about our children, talking about the need for this in other parents, we walked away from there extremely energized from that conversation. And we've had the privilege, as you mentioned, of being in John's world for, you made me feel really old right there, Jeff, 3 decades.
I was going to tell him you started when you were 10.
Thank
right?
you. I just needed to make sure that we were clarified. But one of the things that we learned as we kind of got to this empty nest season was, oh my goodness, we're so grateful for John's influence personally. through his books and through his coaching and mentoring on our life, because we didn't realize it. But through almost osmosis, we were like, we raised our children with leadership principles, and we got to begin thinking about this. And we're like, oh man, if so many people would understand what we do every single day in the boardroom, in our team meetings, in the office, if we would carry those same culture and leadership principles to the home, well then, Jeff, unfortunately, you and I might be out of business, right? Because companies wouldn't need our help with coaching. And so we say this, and then I'll let Sarah say a few words, because she's the one that has done all the hard work in raising our children. We say all the time, we are parenting survivors, okay? Not experts. So I want to just start, everybody that's listening, Jeff's following Jeff's podcast, let's just be very clear real quick. Oftentimes, isn't that true about leadership too, right? It's hard and we're survivors. Well, we feel the same way about parenting. And we just want to be a resource. John says all the time that we want to add value to people that can then multiply value. What a greater way to do that than to add value to parents in a way that they can then multiply that into their children. So thank you.
Yes, thank you. You know, for me, I have this deep-seated passion that every person desires to be valued, seen, and heard. But I really think that children desire that maybe even more than adults do. Every kid wants to be valued, seen, and heard. And they'd rather it be from their parents than from anyone else. And being not as I stayed home mom, I balanced work with home, but I stayed home a lot. And, you know, I would see these environments that Chris would be in with these high-level leaders and doing extraordinary things in a corporate setting or even in a church. And then you kind of pull the curtains back and you see what's going on at home, and you notice that there's this devastation in so many homes of just not knowing how to connect, not knowing how to communicate, not knowing how to handle conflict. And it just became really real to me that if we started teaching leadership principles at home and equipping parents at what that looks like, not just in the corporate level, but in the home itself, gosh, like we wouldn't have to be trying to develop leaders in college and post-college, because we'd have college kids that are already developed with leadership. And so, man, why not start when they're young? And kids are sponges, right? They're hungry. They're so moldable. And so why wouldn't we start when they're little and create as effective small businesses in the home as we're trying to do outside of the home?
I love that quote unquote spin on that, because it has me thinking about my own parenting journey. And I think it's safe to say, often like it is in business, you become a product of the leaders that you had.
That's right.
And so you adopt those styles. Well, that's not always great news.
That's right.
You know, for me, it's horrible news. My parents were good people. I don't know if they were great parents.
Yeah.
You know, they had a set of challenges and all of these different things. Well, when I become old enough and I want to start a family, I don't know where to go. I don't know where to turn. And, you know, thinking of my experience, you have mentored parents. I now have mentored a lot of parents. I've never met parents that were about to have children or have young children even and say, you know, we're just going to wing it and hopefully it turns out all right. Everybody wants their kids to be amazing. There's not a great playbook, but just like business leadership, it is learned.
That's right.
And that's why I love what you all are doing is you're providing the playbook, if you will.
Yeah.
It's not enough just to love your kids. That's a great start, by the way. But it's not enough just to love them and provide for them. Man, there are a lot of things that go into that. And I love that you guys are so intentional with helping parents along that journey, because, look, I remember the first car seat and ride home from the hospital, and I'm like, oh my gosh, the pressure, the stress, you know, we're going to blow this for sure. Like, I have no clue what we're doing. And now, look, we're in a whole new season, like you all, of parenting adult children. Oh my gosh.
That's a whole nother podcast, Jeff.
Yeah,
So,
I mean,
we're Janelle and you, we're learning that. So we're not survivors yet in that. So we need to figure that out first. Before we get there.
Look, it goes without saying that being an impactful business leader is important. There's no question about that. There are more resources about becoming a great business leader than we all have time to digest that kind of content. But when it comes to leading at home, it almost feels like many parents aren't equipped well to do it. Or we're putting more effort into our careers and our business, and there's an asterisk there that says, well, if I'm providing for my family, I'm doing the right thing. But inside, the four walls are deteriorating. I'd love your thought. Why do you think this is, that there's this chasm between the two worlds? And why does teaching leadership at home matter so much, and why are we missing it?
I think for the gap, it's a perspective gap, right? Like, we know what good leadership should look like in a business world. And like you said, there are a lot of resources for that. You think about the 5 levels of leadership, where the whole point of following the 5 levels is to get to that 5th level, which is your level of legacy, right? And the legacy that you want to have in the business that you're running or the people that are on your teams. We don't think of the family unit as a team, right? But it is the same kind of a functioning body as a team at work, right? You're looking for ROI, you're looking for processes to be put in place, you're looking for production, you're looking for reproduction, you're looking for respective position. But we don't think of it, we think of it so relationally in the home, and not so much in the same context that we do in the work environment, right? So the relationships that we need to build are the same, and we want legacy at home. We just don't know quite what that looks like. My theory is, and my argument is, it's really one and the same. One of my really good friends is an executive vice president at one of our healthcare systems here in Atlanta, and she and I were talking about some things with one of her kids. And she was just stuck, and she didn't know what to do. She was at her wit's end, but she's an incredibly effective leader in her corporate position. So I said to her, okay, imagine that this kid is on your team at work. How would you manage this child? What would you do? What would you put in place? How would you coach them? How would you hold them accountable? And she looked at me, and immediately it was like this light bulb moment went off, and she said, oh my gosh, I've never thought of it like that. And so it's almost like, I don't want to say that we dumb down what we're doing at home, but there's this perspective that if we have babies, it should just all come together, right? Just, if we love them, we give them a warm bed to sleep in, we give them food for their bellies, and we give them that groundedness, then they should just turn out okay. But if you go and you start a company and all you do is provide the building for the people that work there, a product for them to do something with, and electricity to turn the lights on, if they don't know what to do with that product and they don't know how to work together as a team, then you're not going to be very productive in that company. So the family unit is an incredible same cell as that work environment. And so we have to bring those same leadership tools into the home. We don't have to go rewrite books. We can take the 5 levels, which, I've done, and turn it into a parenting book, because all of those tools that we use in corporate America are applicable to the home life.
Let me add this real quick, Jeff. I want to address a comment you said just a minute ago that you and I deal with as we deal with executives around the world. Before I do that, we looked at our family as a team. We called it Team Goede.
Yep.
Matter of fact, we had to adjust some of our thinking, even as a married couple. Once Team Goede got out of the house, we had to remember that we were still married and dating again. It wasn't a team environment. Some things changed. And she was the captain of the team. She was the CEO of the Goede household. And that was how we looked at that structure. But you said something so profound. I want to come back to it just a minute ago. You know this as well as I do, that leaders that are listening right now, they were not developed properly. So then how did they lead? Well, they lead how they were led in the past, or how they wanted to be led. So neither one of those is right in the corporate environment or at home. Meaning this, you gave a great example, and I think we could share ours and be the same thing, is that we've got to lead people the way they want to be led in our corporate and our team environment. Well, it's the same thing with parenting. We're not saying that we're going to be everybody's friends. We do not believe in that. We also don't believe everybody gets a trophy. But with that being said, we've got to understand our children in a way in different stages of their life to lead them properly And it's just the perspective that you talked about. You said, what's the gap? It's just the perspective. And we're just trying to bring awareness to that perspective gap of what's going on in our daily life as an executive, as a business, somebody leading a team, and closing that gap so that we can do the same thing at home.
Now, here's the pain, though, is that, and we talked about this at dinner, when you go to work, there's somebody that's not producing, you put them on a PIP. You might have to let them go. Maybe you move them to a different team, right, within the company. At home, you don't have that luxury.
No, you don't.
You can't fire your kids, even though we might want to sometimes. And you can put on your very best at work because you know you're only there for this amount of time and then you're going home. But, at home is where everybody really knows us. So they can call us on our crap. They can see where we're not practicing what we preach, where our own gaps are, where our growth gaps are, right? And so what becomes hard is you cannot manipulate the home as a leader the way that you can maybe manipulate the corporate world, because you have a little more control with what's going on in the corporate world than you do at home, right? And so I think that's the pain point. I think the pain point is the effort that goes into truly leading at home is the most sacrificial thing that you can do than getting up every day. And here's the other thing, you don't get paid for it at home in currency. You get paid for it one way or the other, not in currency, right? And we all love getting that paycheck that makes us feel good about how we did our job. And when you don't get that paycheck on a regular basis, you can sometimes say this isn't worth it. You want to throw in the towel. You don't see the benefits of your efforts. But the pay is coming because of the legacy you're building.
That's so good. It has me thinking of the countless conversations that I've had with crazy successful leaders. Seeing them almost in tears saying, how can I do so well over here? And meanwhile, at my house, everything is unraveling. My marriage is unraveling. My kids are unraveling. I have all the trophies that a business can afford. I have the big office. I got the house, the cars, the designer clothes. I've given them a life that any kid would die to have, and everything is falling apart. And listen, there's somebody listening right now that's resonating.
Yeah.
Because, unfortunately, it's probably more common now than maybe ever. Because the playbook that we're running at our business isn't being ran at home. Although it's different. It's a different environment, no question about it. But just providing things is never going to be the answer. And I love that you guys have modeled the outline of the 5 levels. Because, man, does it resonate. And what we know about that curriculum is it absolutely works.
Yeah.
And it's probably saved a lot of leadership legacies. But if we can apply these same things at home, we can't just expect to have results and no relationship. And we can't just have all relationship and no accountability. Like, here it all comes, right back full circle. And there's many leaders listening that are probably familiar with John's book, The 5 Levels of Leadership. And if you aren't, by the way, hit the pause button, write that down. It's required reading. You got to read that book. But can you explain, those that know or they're familiar with the concept of the 5 levels, how does that look at home? How does that go with parenting? How do we take these 5 levels that we know from the book, and how do we start applying them in our own home?
So Chris and I do a little thing when we do speaking engagements where he says what 5 levels looks like for the corporate world. And then I tell you what the corresponding looks like in the home life and kind of what the verbiage is for that. So if you're okay, that's what we'll do right now. And we'll start off with level 1.
Yeah, I'll keep mine really brief so you can elaborate at the home. So level 1, and this methodology that John developed so many years ago that we've seen change cultures of teams. Level 1 influence is basically you have a title, right? And you have influence over people because of your title, leader, manager, whatever. And people follow you because they have to at level 1.
Yeah. And so oftentimes level 1 at home, you're a parent, you have a baby, you're a parent. You didn't even get given that by somebody above you. You created that position for yourself, right? Yeah. You have right. So you have the title of parent. And oftentimes that's if you lead from that, it's because I said so.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. And oftentimes at level 1, what we see is that people lead with command and control.
That's right.
And we joke about this. You've probably done the same thing. I was like, we're never going to say that because my mom said it to me all the time and I hated it. I think it was maybe a couple weeks into our first, and I was already trying to yell that around the house because he wouldn't sleep long enough. The second one is level 2. So how do you, and this is not, you have to understand the model. It's complicated. It looks like a stair step. It's very fluid. And it creates a common language. But at level 2, your influence grows because you've built relationships with the people. They follow you because they want to. Now, when we're in corporate America, I like to use the word connect with them because not everybody wants to build a relationship people they work with. That's fair. But there are so many ways to connect with our team members in the office that you gain influence with them. They give you permission to lead them because you have connected with them.
So parenting is very similar in the want to, but this is where the relational equity is built. And this is where it becomes because I trust you, right? Because you care for me, because you are with me, because you make me feel valued. You make me feel seen. You're putting so much into the relational equity and into the bank of trust in level 2, so that as you want to develop them, they are going with you because you are the person that they know is going to care for them and take care of them.
Yeah. The next level, we call it level 3, is really the production level. You heard Jeff say we got the relationships and the production, right? That's that core middle right there, level 2 and level 3. In organizations, by the way, if you just stay at level 2 and sing Kumbaya and build relationships, we're all getting fired because there's no paychecks. You got to produce. Right. We understand that. We have our KPIs. So people begin to follow you because of what you have done for the organization in and through the team. Are you producing? Everybody wants to be a part of a winning team. You know that Sarah and I love sports and it's been a part of our life. I say all the time, man, all I ever hear coming out of losing locker rooms is excuses, right? Like people want to be on the winning teams. And so it's about production and what have you done for the organization where people want to be on your team.
And so it's very similar that it's about production, but here your kids are doing it with you because you're doing it with them, right? You are teaching them in level 3. You're training them up in level 3. They're trying new things. They're figuring things out, but you're there showing them how to tie their shoe. You're there showing them how to go, TT on the potty. You're there showing them how to take their own book bag, how to pack their own lunchbox. You're there to help them. You're supporting them, but you're teaching them something new, a skill, a value that they need to have in order to be the leader that you're hoping they're going to become.
Okay, first time ever. Okay, on this podcast, the word TT was used. And it's going to go down in history now, Jeff. So if we need to edit that out, we can.
But every mom.
That's going to be one of the highlight reels to promote the show.
Right. We're going to do something. After level 3, we have level 4. This is a huge pain point in corporate America right now. And it's really tied to succession planning because John says at level 4, you gain influence when you begin to reproduce yourselves in others. When you begin to develop them. And so many people, Jeff, you know this, they just hold everything that they know how to do close to the chest because they feel like they're going to lose their job if they teach somebody else, right? And so are you at level 4, your influence grows with people if you begin to reproduce yourself in them. And I say develop them personally and professionally because I believe you can't leave one at the office and one at the home. You are who they are. And that's in the corporate world what that looks like.
Yeah, and so level 4 in parenting again is about reproduction, right? Because we're trying to teach kids how to reproduce the things that we've taught them back on that level 3, but they're doing it with you because you're there in case they need you. They know they're not alone. They know that if they need to come back and ask questions or if they don't do something exactly right or they're trying to learn something new and do it on their own, they're in a safe spot because you are there focusing on what they're trying to do independently and how they're reproducing in their lives, both for your family, for the team at home, but also you begin to see what they're doing out in their real world. And so this is the exciting piece because you begin to see the fruits of your labor. This is the currency of intentional parenting.
And then finally, level 5, John says, is kind of the pinnacle level, where you have done levels really 2, 3, and 4 so well for so long for people that they basically look at you as, hey, that is one of, I often ask this question of executives: who's the greatest leader that you've ever had the opportunity to work for, serve with, play a sport for, it's in your family, whatever it is. And then I walk them through the levels and I go, now think back to those levels. You can see where, and if that person called you right now, you would leave this podcast, you'd hit pause and you'd take it. And we would want you to. They have the ultimate respect. Now, before Sarah closes it with the family side, I'll tell you this, just a quick little hint about these levels. Levels 1 and 5 are given to you. Okay. The executives that are listening to us right now, level 1 is given to you by the organization. Level 5 is given to you by the people that you've led over time. All of the work and everything that we're talking about is the work as parents or as business executives or team leaders is done at levels 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah. And we laugh about that because if we do assessments with people and where they are in their levels, it's amazing how people will be, oh, I'm a level 5 in that relationship. And you're like, well, let's go ask that person if you're a level 5 in your relationship, right? So same thing, level 5 is that pinnacle. But for us, it's the pinnacle of respect. You've done all the things right, 1 through 4, that your kids have such respect for you, that you are the one they call when they need something. And when they call you, and I can attest to this, when Rye or Addie or Alexa call me, 90% of the time I'm answering the phone when they call. 1, because I'm still building relational equity with them on this new stage of life in this adult parenting piece, right? So we kind of have gone full circle on some things. And that's a good point to remember, is that everything's incredibly fluid.
Yeah.
And you can be in different levels in different seasons and in different reasons within those seasons, right? And then also, if I were to call the kids, most of the time they're going to answer too. And if they don't, they're going to call me back, right? We have that much respect, mutual respect for one another, that we're going to make sure that we connect if some of us reach out to one another. And this is a great point. I just want to slide this in here. As adulting parents now, we have a daughter-in-law. I don't have level 5 influence in her life, right? She has a mom and dad who do. I am building relational equity with her. I am really investing in that level 2 with her right now. I want her to know she can trust me. I want her to know there might be some things that I can teach her. I want her to know that I'm safe to be an influencer in her life. But that is earned. I have to earn that from her. Yes, I am her mother-in-law. That is a position I have in her life. And with that comes some equity, right? But if I want with her what I have with Ryland and Addie, I have to start all over again and give her the same amount of value, seen, and hearing that I did with my 2 kids and try to do on a daily basis, right? So that just gives you a little idea of how you can be. It's very complex, and the different places that you can be on those levels in your seasons of life.
There's a new employee on the team. You got to start over again,
exactly
right?
That's right.
I mean, this is resonating with me so much because my son just got engaged. He's getting married in November. And when we're thinking of these levels, I will tell you, over the last 10 months, this level 4 in this young man's life, I'm seeing it. Like, I'm seeing it at the reproduction.
That's right.
Now, not to say that it was never there before, but all of a sudden, this flower starts blooming. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's the most amazing, rewarding. Now, look, there were some dark years of like, can we just get the results, right? But I think it all plays. And just like the 5 levels, even when you're getting results, you can't lose sight of level 2.
That's right. That's right.
When they're scoring touchdowns, when they're hitting the dean's list, everything is going well. That's a good segue maybe into a question I'd love to hear your thoughts on about level 2. Because obviously it's a critical level. That's why it's there. We need to love people. We need to earn the right. We got to foster relationships, especially with our children. This is that level where, our children, there's trust. You mentioned, Sarah. They feel safe. They feel loved. There's connection, which is great. We want that as parents. But I feel like this can also be a level that can create some real challenges for parents. Are you seeing this where we might be a little top heavy on 2 and we never even get to 3? And, our kids may even like us. But that might also be the parent that's counting to 3 in Walmart.
Yep.
I mean, look, let's just say
good.
what it is, right?
We all of us hear it. Yep. That's right.
Yeah. So what talk to us about level 2. Obviously it's important, but how should parents execute well at this level?
So what I want is for Chris to take a minute and explain what I'm going to tell him. I'm going to hook him. He talks about in the corporate world how people are usually bent strong towards level 2 leadership or towards level 3 leadership. So you're either very production heavy or you're very relational heavy. So I'm going to let him explain that a little bit, and then I'm going to dive into the parenting piece.
Yeah. So naturally, we all have taken assessments, and you know what your wiring is, and you lead people the way they need to be led. Well, it's the same thing in this model, right? You either default to being highly relational, or you default to being highly production oriented. So an example would be you come in the office in the morning and you grab your cup of coffee, you go right to your office, you shut your door, and you start working on spreadsheets. I use that one because that's not me. I don't like spreadsheets. I don't like coffee, and I usually don't shut my door. I lean towards level 2, and that takes, for me, some learned behavior to make sure that I'm in my level 3 space. By the way, I've learned how to do it. Otherwise, John Maxwell would not have kept me on his team for 28 years because the guy cares about KPIs. Okay. So if anybody's wondering, and so then vice versa, right? If you naturally are in that production mode, you have to develop as a leader some learned behaviors on level 2 connection side of things.
And that was me. I'm more of a level 3 influencer. I love production. I'm nonsensical. Let's get things done. I was the mom who would wake up. I'm not a great morning person. I didn't drink coffee either, but don't talk to me. Let's get up as late as we possibly can, rush through the morning, get out of the house, not have to talk to anybody. And so imagine if you're a kid on the receiving end of that, right? That's not a great feeling. You don't even think your mom really wants to see you in the morning. Sure. But the problem with level 2, and yes, I'm sure you've seen it. We've seen it. There's so much time spent in building the relationship that you almost start wanting to become friends. And that's where the gentle parenting is, and all the feelings. And we don't want the kids to feel bad, and we don't want them to feel uncomfortable, and, we don't want to hurt Johnny. And, just, it can get so syrupy that we get stuck. And then we have these little individuals who don't know how to do anything but feel. And most of the time, they don't even know what to do with their feelings because we're not teaching and training on what to do with feelings, right? And so then what happens is you have parents and kids who emotions become their main form of communication. And so if we don't have structure in place that holds us accountable to when our emotions are in question, then we get in this toxic emotional environment, right? Marriages are in that. The kids with each other are in that. The parent with the kid is in that. And then you have this abyss of frustration because you're like, I don't know why I can't get them to sit at the table for dinner. I don't know why I can't get them to tie their own shoe. I don't know why I can't get them to get up on time. I don't know why I can't get them to clean their room up. I don't know why I can't get this, because we're not really in the teaching mode. We're in the telling mode, the instruction mode of level 1. We're in the but don't be mad at me of number 2. I don't want you to feel bad. And those two things don't teach, right? Yeah. So then we're not producing. And you see it all the time. And a lot of these families are the ones who go on, when the kids leave and go to school, they don't come home because they don't respect their parents. There weren't guardrails. There wasn't training. They weren't prepared for the real world. They were responsible for their mom and dad's emotions more than the mom and dad being responsible for the kids' emotions, right? And so this toxic emotional relational, there's no good relational equity being built. It's a toxic bank of equity relationship. And one day they get tired of each other. It's frustration. It's why marriages end. They don't know how to communicate. They don't know how to conflict resolve. They don't even know what that means. They don't even know the goal of what it should look like, because we never talked about what it looked like, where we were trying to go, because most of the time mom and dad don't even know what that is. And the hard part is, like, we're fortunate because he's more level 2 and I'm more level 3. We can offset each other. But give me two parents who are both level 2. If one of them is not willing to grow and go, then you're going to have a really hard time not getting out of level 2. And then if you're both level 3 and neither one is willing to grow and go, then you're probably going to really, level 3 leaders will call themselves level 3 leaders when they don't have any relationship, but they're not, because you can't be a level 3 if you're not a level 2. They go in order. So really you're just positional leadership, right?
Man, that's good.
Yeah. Or real quick, if there's a single parent out there listening, you're gonna wean one way or another, and you need to develop some learned behaviors to be able to do the other one. And so back to level 2 real quick, one of the ways that you can build that trust and that buy-in is we do a ton of different little very practical exercises. John believes, we've been raised this way. How do you put the cookies on the bottom shelf, and give us some practical things? One of the things we do is a values card exercise. And Sara has taken this exercise and done it from 0 to 6 years old, 7 to 8,
2 to 7, 8 to 13, 12
and
to 13.
They have different values. Well, as parents, one of the ways to build that trust and to connect with them is to understand what is it that they value, and then to have conversations at the dinner about that. Or maybe one of the values we talk about is fun, right? And maybe the family hasn't had any fun. And Susie loves to have fun. And so you go, hey, Susie, man, let's have some fun tonight, right? Like, what do you want to do? I want to play board games. I don't know, whatever the answer is for her. Great. All of a sudden now you're speaking her language. You're not, everyone gets a trophy. You're connecting with that child in a way that they
resonate with.
I'm feeling my mom and dad or dad or just mom, they see me. Like they value what I value. Yeah. And that value means so much to them that we're going to do that tonight. So things like that we do every day, Jeff, in the boardroom and in organizations, that we want to bring awareness to it so that they start doing it at home.
Do we have time for me to give you an actual example?
Please do, yes.
Okay.
Because I'm thinking about my own house right now. It's wild. Yes.
So I'm going to go to a young story. Ryland was about 4 years old. Addie was 2. She was potty training. Ry was, and still is, very strong-willed. But to all of those parents who have strong-willed kids at home, you have little leaders in the making. Yeah. They don't know what to do with the passion and energy that they have inside, right? So if we don't mold it, then they're never really going to know how to use it. And this is where I had to learn to become relational with Ryland, because I thought if I could just lead like my mom and dad did, which was do what I say, that was effective parenting. And I learned really quickly with him, it was not going to be effective parenting. So I had to figure out how to speak his language to get his buy-in, right? He's really big on buy-in. So independence was a value of his. And some parents would be like, how do you know independence is some kids' value at age 4? No, me do it. No, me do it. No, me do it. That is a value of independence, right?
Oh, yeah.
He was that way from the time he was little out of the womb, right? And so this is such a silly story, but it tells so much. We're a big Mexican family, big Mexican food family. And so we had gone, the 3 of us, to a Mexican restaurant that we had been to several times. And it was later in the day and there was hardly anybody in the restaurant. Ryland needed to go to the bathroom, and I'm trying to potty train Addie. And so typically if we were out in public, Ryland would be coming with me into the ladies' restroom, right? Well, he really kind of put a foot in the sand on this one day. And it was like, no, mommy, I go to the big boy potty. And I was like, no, you come in with mom and Sissy. And he's like, no, mom, I'll be fine. I promise. Like, he just really was so passionate about this. It wasn't disrespectful. He wasn't throwing a fit, right? Because the right behavior deserves to have new rewards and privileges, right? And so we were really big about that. Behavior and attitude really laid a big foundation on whether you got to try new things or not. So he has great attitude about it. He's not wrong. It's incredibly appropriate for a 4-year-old to want to go into the men's bathroom
Right
and
on.
go potty instead of with his mommy and his little sissy into the women's
right.
bathroom, right? So in this moment, I had a decision to make. I can exercise my level 1 leadership and say, no, you're going to go with me into the girls' bathroom because that's the safest thing to do. And it really was the safest thing to do at this stage of life. But I paused for a moment. I looked around in the restaurant. And I'm like, there is nobody here, right? And we're going to be quick. And this not new for us. He can do this. And if I do this with him, I'm going to be honoring his value. Now, this is a true story. I had this actual conversation with myself. I knew there was a pivotal moment right here that I had to build confidence in him and show him that I believed in him and I thought that he could do it. Or I could tell him I didn't think that he could do it, because his takeaway would have been, she doesn't believe in me. Even though I had reasons for saying that wasn't the safest, his 4-year-old mind was only going to really take away, she didn't believe in me and didn't think I could. So I got down in his face and I said, okay, here's the deal. I'm going to let you go in there by yourself. You have to come right back out. Do not talk to anybody. And if you don't come right back out, I will come in and get you and I will embarrass you.
That was the key right there, Jack.
Oh, yeah, mom's coming.
That was the key.
So I'm in control of what's going on. The only thing I'm not in control of is if somebody else is in that bathroom, but I'm in control of what we are going to do between the two of us, right? So I go in, I take care of Addie. I come back out. He's not out there. I knock on the door. Nothing happens. And it's like, well, he had gone back to the table is where he had gone. And I get back and I kid you not, Jeff, he stands a little taller and he has this disposition on his face and he's so proud of himself. And he's like, Mommy, I ordered our drinks and our cheese dip. But that me believing in him and connecting with him on what valued to him led him to also being independent and productive, sitting down and talking to a waitress at the age of 4, clearly communicating what we wanted to drink, clearly communicating what kind of cheese dip we wanted. And he obeyed me by sitting right there and waiting for me until I came out with Sissy. Made all the difference in the day. So it's a little story. It's a little idea of you have to think about what is your child communicating to you in that moment.
And what age group, right? Like we have stories in each age
we give you stories in all ages.
Yeah, they're still happening, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
I love what you said earlier too, because I was thinking of the dynamic in our house. I'm a level 3, Janelle's level 2, and I always feel like the bad guy. Like I'm the bad guy. I'm the guy that was creating SMART goals first day of summer vacation. This is what we need to have done. The books you're going to read by the end. Oh, Dad, I don't want to do it. Well, you need to be a better human being. You got to read it. All the stuff, right? This was in 3rd grade, by the way. And it's like you get all this resistance. And you're like, look, I'm just trying to help you here.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't have all this when I was a kid. You're
right.
welcome, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I often lacked the relational deposits, right? Because I just want it to be better for you than it was for me.
Yeah.
Thank goodness, Janelle is very much so level 2, and she could nurture and do some of those other things. To your point, Chris, I love that you called it out. There are single parents watching.
Yes.
Let's encourage them for a minute, is that these are learned skills. Mm-hmm. We all have internal wiring, what we were born with, but we can also, you look in the business world, we call it EQ, right? Emotional
That's right.
intelligence.
That's
we
right.
teach this. We send people away for days on end so that we know how to communicate with people and that no 2 people on your team are the same. Well, I don't know how it is with your 2 kids, but my 2 kids aren't the same human.
Not at all.
And so this level 2, values, what do they need? How do we discipline? Is even different because
That's right.
100%.
some things
right.
just aren't effective,
That's
right? I wanted to talk, because we kind of ended that segment with this, about our kids are not going to stay the same age the whole time. They're gonna evolve and they're gonna grow. And this is the wild card in all of it, because just when you think you get them figured out, they change. Things change. Our kids grow in and out of different seasons of their life as we parent them. Mm-hmm. Adolescence, the teenage years, Lord help all of us, right?
Yep.
And then you get to this adulthood. How are the 5 levels maybe massaged differently or applied differently in these different seasons of life?
Well, I'll go first in this. I think just like when we're at work, we're ever evolving, our people are ever growing, we're ever growing, and things are continually changing. But if you don't build the foundation, right, of that level 2, no matter what age group, and maybe some of you are listening right now, you go, man, well, that's great. I wish I could have started that when they were in elementary school. No. You can start it at any point in time, because the principle, this is what I love about the model. The principles are the same. Mm-hmm. They're the same at home as they're at work. They're also the same in each different age group and adult children. But the application is a little bit different, right? So I'll let Sarah speak to this from the home standpoint. But the first thought that comes to my mind is, even when you look at level 3 and we were working towards production as a family, you look at maybe what was a punishment to one when they were younger changes a little bit as you get older, and you're using that in order to drive production in a way. But if you don't build level 2 with them when they're in middle school and you're punishing them, or you're trying to drive for production at level 3, you're not going to get their buy-in. They're going to do it, and they're going to resent you. And then when they get to become teenagers and older, you're not getting that place to where they go, man, mom and dad, I appreciate you saying no, because now I know that you did it with the right, because you didn't always say no. You built a relationship. You understand what's important to me, and you just didn't come out and say no because I said so. So I want those that are listening, single parenting together, to understand that it is different. The language is different. The examples are different, but the principles are the same no matter what age they are.
That's good.
I want to make 2 points. I'm going to say both of them now so you help me remember them and I don't forget. So the first one is a clear vision, and the second one is always reassessing. So first of all, at some point in your family life, just like in a job in a corporate world, you probably have a vision statement. You probably have a mission statement somewhere, right? Families need this. They need some clarity of what the goal is of your family team, right? So for us, our faith is important to us. So we wanted to raise kids who were fully devoted servants of the Lord Jesus Christ, and growing adults who would be positive contributors to society. Yeah. Okay. So everything that we said yes and no to, that the battles that we decided to fight on, usually came back to what our mission was and who we were trying to produce, right? So we had a clarity of what we were trying to produce, which doesn't change with stages of life, right? So if you can get that clarity of your calling, what is your calling for your parenting, for your family, then that gives you the foundation that you need, that no matter what season you're in, every good kid is one bad decision away from changing the course of their lives, right? Doesn't make them a bad kid. Right. Every good kid, every good parent, every good business leader is one bad decision away from changing the course of their lives, right? So if you've got that strong vision and mission, it won't matter all the other things that are going on, what stage you are, did somebody make a bad decision, have you taken a detour on a path with a kid that you weren't expecting, because you still know where you're going to, right? So that's the first thing that I would say, to allow for that stability throughout all of that evolution. But the second thing that is so important is the ever reevaluating of where you are as a parent and where your kids are also. So having conversations, and they don't have to be deep-seated. I had a thing that I did with the kids, and I started this when they were relatively young, but I would just be like, hey, where are you at with things at school on a scale of 1 to 10? Where are you at with your friendships on a scale of 1 to 10? Where are you at with God? Where are you at with mom and dad? What, if it was a 6, what could make that a 7 or an 8? And I would ask these inquisitive questions, so that I was constantly reassessing where they were, where we were, and where we were going, where we needed to be going, the gaps that I needed to start filling in, if that makes sense, right? Yeah. So when you ask those inquisitive questions, John says, great leaders ask great questions. Okay. And so as a parent, we've got to get really good at asking great questions that give us actual context and information so that we can lead ourselves first, to be able to lead them no matter what the season is. And the thing is some kids, you might have to go back and really invest in that level too, right? In middle school with my daughter, I had to really go back and build that relational equity because it wasn't there. And I had a decision to make that I could either get mad about it and just try to keep leading out of 3. And you're going to do this, you're going to do that, you're going to do this. This is what I expect. This is the production, which then caused so much disconnect between she and I. So then I'm not really building legacy. Doesn't even matter. I might be producing in the moment, but I'm not producing for my future. I'm not building for the legacy, right?
Yeah.
I'm just getting the results I want right then, right there. I'm controlling the immediate moment, but I'm not investing in tomorrow. I had a decision to make. I had to relearn how to best parent her. And this is where I would say, especially to our single moms and dads out there, you can do this. I wasn't a single mom, but I did it. I had to relearn something so that I could be the best influencer that I could be for Addie, instead of waiting for Addie to wake up one day and have this aha moment and just become this kid that was easy for me to parent, right? I needed to be the parent who invested in the relationship because she was a child. She didn't have the maturity and the frontal cortex development to be able to be what I needed her to be. I did, though. And so I had a choice to make. And so that's what I would really encourage every family, every team. Again, think of yourself as a team. What is your mission? Where are you going? What's your calling for the people that you are raising? And then 2, always evaluating and reevaluating where you are and where you're trying to go.
To make a point on this real quick, I was just thinking about this while you were sharing. And it's interesting, Jeff, the question that you posed, because it put all this together for me. And I can remember when Addie was in elementary school, these 2 were like thick as thieves. I mean,
Peanut butter and jelly.
I mean, it was amazing. And then many of you listening, well, then you know what happens, right? Middle school comes around or high school comes around, and mom and daughter, and man, there was a lot of not great days out there. So if you're listening, hear us say this, like, I mean, tears and conversations and late night, what are we doing? We're messing it up. And this is where I think leaders, listen to me. I think the longer that we've led, maybe the longer you've been a parent, you become very unaware of what it looks like to be on the other side of your leadership. I want you to think about that right there. Maybe you go home tonight when you're listening to this and you ask the question at the dinner table, hey, what's it like to be on the other side of dad or mom? Now, the kids probably won't answer you because it'll be the first question. They'll be like, what's he doing? Right?
They won't feel safe,
but they won't feel safe.
They don't have that safeness.
But I think to your question, and then we'll throw it back to you here, is that it was interesting because Sarah, because the model is so fluid, when Addie got into middle school and high school, man, Sarah had to go to work to connect with her because she's not like her. And so she came in one day, I'll never forget, she's like, oh man, like this is on me, not her. Like I've got to learn. And so she became a consumer, a learner, to make sure that she was able to lead her well, because every child, every person deserves to be led well.
Yes.
In the workforce, at home especially, right? At home. So anyways, listen, sorry we're taking up, so we just
this
get
is so good.
This. Like
I'm thinking of my own journey. I'm thinking of the many people, I'm a business coach. This stuff comes into the conversations all the time.
All the time.
It's what people care about most, honestly. We're all, if you're listening to this show, success is important to you. We know that. But we also know that the reason success is important to you most likely is because of the people that live at your house.
100%.
And,
right.
As you were talking about these levels, I was thinking top heavy level 3 usually drives to rebellion in the teenage years, especially. Right. If you're top heavy level 2, all the relationship and the kumbaya, then they become very irresponsible. That's why they're these ebb and flow. And I hope that people listening today are like, you know what, this was a little different today, but man, they got my number here. And this is something we really need to think about, is we have to pull these principles into our homes. Yeah. At the end of almost every workshop that I do on Firm Feedback Book, somebody will come up to me and say, you should really make this a parenting workshop. And I always respond by saying the same thing. Who told you it wasn't? You thought you were here to learn about, but these principles are for your marriage. They're for your parenting. We have to pull them in. They work because in both scenarios, we're talking about humans.
Yeah.
And you listen, you guys are amazing. I appreciate you bringing this fresh perspective, a much needed perspective on this conversation of leadership. Because that's what we are as parents. We are leaders. We're leading our homes. Arguably, hopefully, we're leading the people that matter most to us.
Yeah.
And so we have to put more energy into this. And we talk so much about building the great businesses and the great teams and, leading high performing teams and winning business trophies and growing as professionals. But if we fail to lead well at home, then listen, we've missed our greatest calling. I'm just going to say it.
Yeah.
We have. And for those listening, I want to challenge you. Don't let today's conversation just inspire you and compel you to do a little bit more. Let it change you. Think about very small, maybe intentional steps that you can take this week to lead your family with purpose. Maybe it's setting time aside to connect with your kids, modeling out the values that you want them to carry out, or having a meaningful conversation with them that maybe you've been putting off. Sometimes we got to get out of our comfort zone to do those things. Leadership at home, it doesn't happen by accident. I know that for certain. It happens because you make a decision that you're going to show up and you're going to be intentional. But Chris, Sara, there's going to be people that are like, all right, I got to do more. What do I do now? How can people contact you? You have assessments, you have resources, you have coaching, you have a lot of resources for people. How do they find you and tap into that?
Yeah, so the best way to do that is through my website, which is saragoede.com. And I think we're going to link to that.
Yep.
I'm also on Instagram with Sara Goede Coaching. But we are available. I think that's my thing. One of the reasons that I went into coaching, especially with families, is it's not something we typically do. We'll spend lots of dollars on leadership corporate coaching, but families are stuck. And that doesn't mean that you're a failure. We all have been there. We will all be there again, right? And so the thing about coaching is just creating a village of support for you when you're going through a stuck moment. And what we do so often as parents is we don't want people to know where we're struggling because we think it's just us. And it's everybody. And so we coach, I coach, Chris coaches, we coach together, we facilitate, we workshop. So any way that we can, and I also tell people this too, don't ever let your resources be a reason that you don't reach out. I'm not in this for wealth. I'm in this to make a difference. And so don't ever, I tell moms that, especially because moms don't want to invest in themselves often because we're investing so much in everybody else and we don't want to take the time to spend money on us. So don't ever let that be a reason. If we can come alongside of and help and support and help you get unstuck or bring clarity, we're happy to do that. So if you go to saragoede.com, there is a connect with me button, and you can just fill that out. It'll send me an email, give me the message, your phone number, all the things, and I promise you, I will reach back out.
Man, I love it. You know, one of my favorite scriptures is, "Where your treasure is, your heart will be." And look, listen, if you're a regular listener, you know I'm here to challenge you because I care. I want you to look back. I want you to look into your library right now. And I want you to ask yourself, how many parenting books do I have versus business books or, leadership books? How many over the last 5 years, how many parenting workshops have I been to versus business workshops? And I'm not saying the other side of it's not important. But our biggest treasure is going to be inside of our home. And so tap into these resources. Chris and Sara, I've come to know them well in a short amount of time. I know they're good people, and they're offering to support and help. Take advantage of those resources. Chris and Sara, you're a treasure. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
And thank you to the listener. Appreciate you all listening in. If there's a parent in your life, maybe you're listening today and that's not you, but there's somebody that you want to encourage. Send them this. Send them this episode. And until next week, I want to keep encouraging you. Not just leading well, but leading well at home and keep turning that parenting pressure into potential.
Champion Forum podcast with Jeff Hancher. Lead, inspire, win.